I recommend a few books per year.
Let me guess. You recommend Hammers for Dummies and Killing Fathers with Hammers for Dummies? Something like that, David Wood? Anyways, I couldn't resist that joke. All right, let's continue.
Some of those are targeted at a certain group of viewers because some books are mainly relevant for a specific audience. But occasionally, there's a book that everyone needs, at least everyone who watches my channel. And here's one of those books.
So he's basically promoting Robert Spencer's latest book, The Critical Quran, which, if you want a good laugh, if you want a joke book, that's it's pretty funny what Robert Spencer writes and stuff. I mean, it's just hilarious when people like Robert Spencer and James White think they're scholars when they really aren't. It's just funny to me, you know. But anyways, I can't take any of those people seriously. I can't take Robert Spencer, James White seriously on anything. But this book does have some very easily refutable points about the Quran. I want to skip forward. I want to skip forward to the part where David Wood talks about Ibn Masud. So here we go.
Shouldn't be in the Quran. This is a massive problem because Muhammad told his followers, if you want to learn the Quran, learn it from Ibn Masud. And Ibn Masud had a different Quran from the one Muslims have today. Two, Surah.
All right, now this is the part where I want to refute. He says he says that Ibn Masud had a different Quran than the one we had. Is this true? No, it isn't. Now, I don't know. Like this argument has been refuted for the last 20 years, and I feel like whenever the Quran preservation issue is brought up, it's this is the one that gets brought up a lot by the Christian missionaries. So let's get into this, or let's refute this argument. Just give me 1 second here. Oops. I'm getting the exact reference to refute his point. Just 1 second. Let me just access it right now. Okay, so basically, let me just give a brief history of this argument. Some Christian Orientalists in the 19th century brought this argument up, so it's not like Robert Spencer and Wood are saying different things. But anyways, let's get into the crux of this argument. Now, it's true that Ibn Masud didn't write down Surah Fatiha in the Quran, and the reason why is because it was already established that uh, Surah Al Fatiha was part of the Quran. Ibn Masud didn't reject it. Why did Ibn Masud not write it in his book? Is because uh, the answer is given in Tafsir al-Qurtubi, Volume 1, page 115. It says, Ibn Masud was asked why he did not write Al-Fatih in his Musaf. He replied, if I were to write it, I would write it before every surah. Abu Bakr al-Abari explains this saying every rak'ah in prayer starts with Al-Fatiha and then another surah is recited. It is as if Ibn Masud said, I have dropped it for the sake of brevity and I have trusted its preservation by Muslims collectively. This is Tafsir al-Qurtubi, Volume 1, page 115. So that's the reason why Ibn Masud didn't write down the Surah Fatiha in his codex. So the thing is that Ibn Masud did eventually agree that his Quran, uh, and Uthman's Quran eventually agreed with one another. That's a fact that Ibn Masud actually did approve, or later on in his life, later on had the same Quran as Uthman did. So this is not a textual variant or whatever. I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to get the exact reference. Okay, now here we go. It says, now the question really arises, did Ibn Masud later on agree with Uthman? And the answer is yes, he did later on in his life. Ibn Masud might have not given up his personal manuscripts, but he did agree with the idea behind the scheme, behind the Codex of Uthman, by his team, by Zayd ibn Thabit. Ibn Kathir says, Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, wrote to him, Ibn Masud, bidding him to follow the companions in what they had agreed upon due to its benefits, and because it led to unity of opinions and the end of differences. So he inclined it and agreed to follow it, and it became the oppositions. May Allah be pleased with all of them. Ibn Kathir later on says in his book Al-Bida al-Nihaya, volume 7, page 217. So if Ibn Masud followed Uthman this way, even in secondary issues, how much more willing he would have been following him regarding the Quran and sticking to his recitation, to which he bound to the people. So Ibn Masud later on agreed with Uthman's version of the Quran. This is found in Ibn Kathir's book Al-Bida al-Nihaya, volume 7, page 217 to 218. So, later on, this is like a very old argument about Ibn Masud, etc. The whole fact of the matter is that Ibn Masud did agree with Uthman's manuscript later on in his life. So now notice what one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad said. After Zayd had completed the work during Uthman's time, he compared the Musaf and prepared with the Suhuf prepared during Abu Bakr's time. Then he testified, I compared the manuscripts with those manuscripts. They did not differ in anything. This is Mushkal al-Akhtar, Hadith 2645. So it leads us to a logical conclusion that Ibn Masud's codex had no fundamental textual difference with the official Uthman manuscript. So even the companions or the disciples of the Prophet Muhammad, like Zayd, were saying that all the manuscripts of the Quran or all the codexes of the Quran were uniform, and even Ibn Masud's codex or manuscript was uniform with Uthman's manuscript. So that's basically what it is. Just because Ibn Masud didn't write down Surah Fatiha doesn't mean his Quran. He thought there was a different Quran than Uthman's Quran. Like I said, the reason why is because Ibn Masud didn't want to keep writing Surah Fatiha over and over and over again. As for the Quran, chapter 113 and 114, Ibn Masud did say that these were part of the Quran, that these manuscripts these surahs were part of the Quran. It's said that Ibn Masud said, excessively recite 2 surahs. Allah will make you reach higher ranks in the hereafter because of them. They are al-Muzawazin. This is found in, Al-Mu'azin is the Quran, chapter 113 and 114. This hadith is found in Kanzal Ulam, hadith 2743. So here in explicit terms, Ibn Masud referred to the Quran, chapter 113 and 114 as 2 surahs, showing that he did believe in their canonical or divine origin, and they belonged in the Quran. So my point is that Ibn Masud's Quran did in fact agree with Uthman's Quran, and Ibn Masud thought that the Quran chapter 1 and the Quran chapter 113 and 114 were all part of the Quran. So Ibn Masud's Quran later on agreed with Uthman's Quran, as confirmed by Ibn Kathir in his book Al-Bidayah. So that refutes the claim that Ibn Masud had a different Quran than Uthman did. All Ibn Masud's Quran eventually, or later on in his life, match Uthman's Quran. Ibn Masud later on agreed with Uthman's Quran. So, like, let's say you go back, you time travel, and then you compare Ibn Masud's manuscript with Uthman's manuscript, they will match indefinitely. Let's say you find a way to time travel, like the Flash, and you go back to the 6th century, then you'll see that Ibn Masud's Quran did eventually match with Uthman's Quran. So this is a fact that these Orientalists, these Orientalist wannabes like Robert Spencer, need to acknowledge that Ibn Masud did agree with Uthman's Quran, and all the Quranic manuscripts we have are not only early, but they're all uniform too. So this shows that the Quran is better preserved than the New Testament, which has massive differences in manuscripts. So not only are the manuscripts late, but we have forgeries, like the ending of the Gospel of Mark, the Gospel of John having the stoning of the adulteress. So you have these massive forgeries in the New Testament, and you don't have that with the Quran, because all the Quran manuscripts are uniform. They're all similar. Not only are they early, but they're all similar too. So this whole Ibn Masud myth that Ibn Masud had a different Quran is false, because Uthman's Quran and Ibn Masud's Quran were uniform, or they were the same. This was before Ibn Masud died. So this refutes the idea that Ibn Masud's Quran was different than Uthman's Quran. They both were eventually the same. Stay tuned for more refutations of everybody's favorite psychopath, D Wood.